Hi, I'm Veronica Lamb with Radiant Life Consulting. I help busy people create healthy habits in meals and in life so that they can get fueled up and out the door, busy being the change that they were created to be in this world. In this class, I'm going to teach you how to create easy grab-and-go freezer meals made from pasta, your favorite vegetables, and key proteins. These easy meals are going to be super convenient for you to just grab and go when you're in a hurry or when you don't feel like cooking dinner or you need a quick homemade lunch to take with you to the office. So this is going to be a really delicious class that's not only going to save you time, it's also going to keep you filled up. So go ahead and click on the join button and I'll see you in the rest of these sessions. You want to gather all of your ingredients together. First thing that we'll talk about is your pasta. You want to have your pasta already cooked. The key to cooking the pasta is that you want to make sure that it's al dente, meaning that it's not completely soft. So let me take one of these real quick and show you here. So you can see I can pull on it without it coming apart. I can squeeze on it. It's not going to easily come apart. So it's not mushy. It's still fairly firm. And it's going to have a really good texture once we reheat it, and even after we've froze it, it's still going to be really good, okay? So you want to make sure that you have a nice texture to your pasta. Now you can use traditional pasta that's enriched. You can use a whole wheat pasta. You can use one of the blends of vegetable pastas, or you can do a gluten-free pasta. You can pick any of those that you want. Just make sure that you keep an eye on it when you're cooking it, and you want to make sure that it's still firm when it's done. Okay, so that may mean cutting down the cooking time just a minute or two off of the recommended time so that you can make sure that your pasta is going to hold up in the freezer for you. The next ingredient that you want to think about is your sauces, and you can do a variety of sauces for your pasta dishes. Of course, there's the classic red sauce, and you can use a store-bought red sauce, or you can do a homemade red sauce, which is really delicious and good. You can also look at something like a pesto sauce, and again, this can be homemade really easily with some basil. If you have some nice fresh basil, that would be really good, or you can pick some up from the store if you're in a hurry. You can also make your own sauce using an olive oil and some other key ingredients. We'll actually be covering a couple of those in this class, and of course you can do a white sauce if you would like a cheesy or a creamy sauce for your pasta. Just pick your favorite sauce and make sure that you gather it together. I suggest picking out maybe 2 or 3 different sauces when you go to make all your freezer meals. That way you're going to have some variety in there. But if you only have one kind, that's okay too. You'll just grab it different times when you're ready and you're craving that sauce. You'll have it there and ready to go. The key to the vegetables is that you want to make sure that they are a fairly uniform thickness so that when you go to cook them or reheat them in your pasta jars, they're actually going to cook evenly. Now, one thing that you may notice here is that all of my vegetables are raw, and you can work with cooked vegetables also, but I like using the raw vegetables because as my pasta gets reheated, they actually cook to the perfect doneness so that they're still bright and crisp and really fresh looking with vibrant colors, and they have enough crisp and a little bit of crunch to them that they really taste good, and it doesn't make you feel like that you're eating a freezer meal. It makes you feel like that you're eating something that was freshly made. Another ingredient that you may want to think about is your protein. Protein is going to ensure that you have a nice filling meal that's going to stick with you for a few hours throughout your day. And so you can look at typical animal meat proteins. Here we have ground beef that's been drained and is lean ground beef. We also have some shrimp here that has already been cooked, and we also have some chicken here. So you can cook these at home yourself, or you can buy them already cooked. It's up to you, or you may even have some left over from a previous meal that you cooked the night before. But just make sure that you have some protein there. If you're doing only vegetable proteins, you can look at tofu. The key for using tofu in pasta, and yes, I have had tofu in pasta and it's really good, but the key to it is that you've got to make sure that you've drained out all the liquid. And this is best done in advance. So whether you've got an hour of prep time or whether you even have a full day, either way you can do it. It's nice the more time that you have. But basically you take your tofu out, you make sure that you put some pressure on it and you leave that pressure on even overnight so that all of the liquid gets squeezed out and drained out. That's going to help prevent your sauce and your pasta from being too watery. It gets watered down when that water comes out of the tofu when you're reheating it, if you haven't drained it properly. But if you do drain it properly, then it's going to be ready and primed to absorb up all of the goodness and flavors out of your sauce. So make sure that you get the tofu, and it's an extra firm tofu that you want to use usually. You want to make sure that you get that pressed down so that all the water is drained out of it, and then it's going to be perfect for you to use in your pasta dish. When you've got all of your ingredients ready, it's really easy to throw together your jars for your freezer meals. So when you're thinking about creating your jars here, first thing that you want to put in is the sauce. And the main reason why you put the sauce in first is, one, because it's wet, you want it to be at the bottom, and then two, you don't want it splattering all over the place if you go to heat these up in a microwave. So I'm going to go ahead and add some red sauce to a couple of these. So I love using my wide mouth mason jars because the food slides out really easily, and then also I don't have to worry about the plastic getting stained by the red sauce. I hate stained plastic. So mason jars are the way that I always go. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some of this in here. You can be as liberal as you want with your sauce. I'm going to make 2 red sauce ones. I'm also going to create 1 pesto one. So grab my pesto and put a generous portion of the pesto at the bottom. And then the other 2, I'm going to create my own kind of olive oil sauce for those. So I'm going to start off by putting a little bit of olive oil in each of these, but I'm also going to add some more later once I get in the ingredients. Let's start with our reds first. And as a general rule, if you are concerned about your meat getting a little dried out or tough during the reheating process, it's a good idea to go ahead and put that on top of the sauce, because the moisture from the sauce is going to keep it nice and juicy and keep it from getting dried out. So for the red sauce, one of these, I'm going to use some ground beef. Go ahead and add some of that in here. Okay, that looks like a good amount of beef. For the other red sauce, I'm going to do chicken. I'm going to go ahead and grab a few pieces of chicken and put those in there. This is 1 chicken breast that I have here, so I'll put about half of it in this one. So adding your pasta in there, you just want to squish it in so that you get a good amount of pasta. Depending on the type that you're using, type of pasta that is, meaning it could be spaghetti or angel hair or spiral ones, curly Q's, whatever it is that you're using, you want to try and squish them in there just so that you get enough to make sure that you're going to be filled up. And I'm going to go ahead and add it for my chicken one also. Add in my pasta here. All right, that looks pretty good. So for beef, the vegetables that I want to add for my beef one are going to be my bell peppers. I'm going to grab some of those and put those on top. Now, if you're like me and you actually like your bell peppers to be fresh as opposed to cooked, Once you put your jar in the freezer, your peppers are going to freeze up pretty well on their own. And so when you take it out of the freezer before you reheat it, it's really easy just to take a fork or something and scrape off your bell peppers off of the top, most of them, and you can keep them on the side while you reheat the rest of this, and then you'll have nice, fresh, crunchy bell peppers to throw back on top. This jar is done now. I've got my veggies on top, my pasta, my meat, and my red sauce at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. Now let's take a look at our chicken red sauce choice. For this one, I'm actually going to add broccoli and carrots. I really love broccoli and carrots with my pastas. I'm going to add in these. I just want to add in a few of them. It can be kind of hard to fit them, so you can go ahead and squish them down if you want. And then I'm going to add in a few of the baby carrots. I like the smaller ones because they're going to cook more evenly with the broccoli. And when you take them out and you let them steam in there as you reheat this jar, see, I've got room. I can fit a few more pieces of broccoli. As you let them steam and reheat, when you heat up this jar of food, they're going to be a really bright green and bright orange color, and they're going to have a little bit of crunchiness still left in them. They're absolutely delicious, and it's going to make you feel like that you're eating a nice fresh dish as opposed to something that came from a freezer meal. Okay, let's take a look at our pesto option now. So for my pesto option, I'm going to create a chicken and tomato pesto. So what I will do first is I'll go ahead and add in my chicken so I don't have to worry about it getting dried out. Go ahead and add in the other half of this chicken breast. I'm going to add my pasta and I'll put my tomatoes on top. Okay, I got my pasta in there and my chicken, and now I'm ready to go ahead and add a few of these baby tomatoes. I love these little ones because then I don't have to mess with cutting them up. Okay, now we've got our pesto one all ready to go. Now we can talk about our olive oil sauces. So sometimes I like to make my own olive oil sauce because I don't want the acidity of the tomatoes, and maybe I just don't feel like having the pesto basil sauce. So this is really easy to do with ingredients that I typically have around the house. So what I like to do is I always like to add in some chopped onions to these. So I'll add in a little bit here. Now these are raw, they're not cooked yet, but the cool thing is that when you reheat the sauce, it's going to actually cook. And then I'm also going to add some garlic in here to each one of these. Now, it's up to you how much garlic you want to add. The reason that I put the onion and the garlic down at the bottom with the olive oil is because I want it to cook in that olive oil and really get the flavor into the olive oil as it cooks and reheats. So what I'll add next is actually my pasta, because I'm going to put shrimp in one of these. I'm not too concerned about those drying out. If you are, you can always put them on the bottom near the olive oil, but I'm actually going to sprinkle some more olive oil on here after the fact anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and add the pasta now to both of these. And if you're curious about the amount of pasta that I cooked in order to make these 5 jars, it was about a half package of regular spaghetti pasta. So I've got my 2 olive oil jars here. One of them I'm going to make all vegetable, and the other one I'm going to do a shrimp zucchini combination. So I'll go ahead and do the shrimp zucchini first and add in some of these shrimp. I got these already cooked from the store. They were already peeled, super easy. This is actually one of my daughter's favorite pasta dishes. She loves shrimp. She's a toddler, and she also loves zucchini. So this has become a staple in our household. And because she's so young, sometimes what I'll do is I'll make smaller jars for her so that we can have them in the freezer, pull them out the night before, and then we can grab and go to pack them in her lunch really easily. So I put several shrimp in there because we all love shrimp. And then on top of that, I want to throw in some of my zucchini. I'll throw in my zucchini here. It's important that your shrimp is already cooked. Some of these in here. I'm going to put them straight up and down a bit because I want to pour some more olive oil in here. We really like zucchini in our household, so I'm going to put quite a bit in there. Okay, so that's good. Then I'm going to drizzle some more olive oil on top of this. And when you're making your own sauce, it's really helpful, at least it tastes better, if you go ahead and add some salt in there for these olive oil sauces. It'll make the flavors of the vegetables pop more. Alright, so I added in some salt, and this one is good to go. The last one is the all veggie version, and what I'm going to add to this one is going to be my yellow squash, a bunch of these in here. I'm going to add my eggplant, and maybe I'll squeeze in a few broccoli also. Just for fun. If I can stick one more in there. Okay, I really like to pack it full when I'm just doing veggies. I'm going to fill up on those. And then I'll go ahead and drizzle some more olive oil over them. And you can always add the salt after you've cooked it, after you've reheated them. But I like to have the salt kind of soak into the vegetables as they're cooking. Okay, so that one's all ready. Once you've got your jars all made, all you gotta do is just screw the tops on, label them if you want, and throw them in the freezer, and you are good to go. Anytime that you need a fast, filling, hearty meal, you've got your pasta dishes all made, super easy to reheat. Just throw them in the microwave, or you can slide the contents out really easy with these wide mouth jars, just into a pot or a pan on the stove and heat them up. Thanks for joining me in this class. I hope you loved it, and it's going to be a real blessing on your life. These are really easy grab and go meals that are going to make it totally convenient for you just to grab, whether it's your lunch that you're taking to work, or whether you're just getting home late and you need a quick dinner, or you're looking for easy ways for your family to have grab and go meals. Anyway, these should really help you out. Hope you loved it. If you like these kind of classes, check out my other videos on Skillshare for more helpful tips on how to create healthy habits in life and in meals. Feel free to click on my bio and connect with me using any of those links in there. And then also, I want to see your project for this class. So please take a picture of your jars, 1 or 2 jars or all of your jars, and post them up on the class project so that we can see them. You can also put in any comments or questions that you have in the discussions, and I'll be sure to answer. Thank you again for joining this class. Peace, love, and aloha. In this class, your project is going to be to create some easy grab-and-go freezer meals using pasta. So what I want you to do is take a picture of your jars that you create. It can just be one, or it can be 5, or it can be even more. However many jars you create, just take a picture of your finished jar with your sauce, your pasta, your veggies, your protein. Make sure you've got them all in there. Load up that picture on our class project area because we would love to see what it is that you're creating. And I would love to know how you've enjoyed this class. So please give me a review and please put out one of your pictures of your project.